Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Lauren, and on this channel we talk about books. In this video, unlike the February one, we're getting it out on time, and that is our March reading wrap up. Yes, we are talking about all of the books that I read in March. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first book I read this month is The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. Really beautiful book. This book was a lot of fun. I gave it 3.2 stars, but since I've dwelled on it and sat on it for a little while, I think that it is fair to give it 3.5 stars. It was a really good book. The year is 1848, and we are following our female main character, Ivy, and her family's position in society has fallen from grace. Once positioned relatively highly in the social structure of her society, her family now faces scrutiny due to a scandal involving Ivy's older sister. And now it's up to Ivy to kind of put her family in a higher position on the social totem pole and ultimately get them out of severe financial debt thanks to their father's business ventures. And to do this, Ivy must make a smart bargain with the Fae Queen, who rules over all of London. Each year when the girls of high society London come of age, they do get to make a deal or a bargain with the Fae Queen as kind of like a coming out present for their current debutante season. Usually the girls make a bargain with the queen to make themselves more applicable for marriage. So things like a better singing voice, the ability to play the piano, higher cheekbones, prettier hair, things like that to make them more appealing to the males that are also scouting out a partner in the debutante season. But this year there is a pretty big catch. The Fae's son, he is looking for a wife. And the girls get a choice. They can enter into a competition to win the hand of the prince, still get their bargain. But the catch is, if they lose the trials and they do not win the prince's hand, then they can never marry in their life. So they either win the prince's hand or they will be a single woman forever. And in 1848, this is a pretty big deal because women essentially do not have rights, and they only are awarded whatever rights they can get by virtue of their husband. So to never be able to marry should they lose this competition is a pretty steep price to pay. But of course, a handful of these young girls do agree to the terms and enter into the competition, mostly by force of their mothers, because what a prize to win. And our female main character, Ivy, also enters the competition. So the bulk of the story, we are following Ivy and the other young girls that have entered the competition, and we follow them through the trials that the Fae Queen puts them through, which are pretty evil. The trials are not lighthearted by any means, and to everyone's surprise, including Ivy's, she seems to be the front runner to win the prince's heart. And while this is a good thing because it means restoring her family's name, there is one small issue, and that is that she is finding herself falling for the prince's younger brother, Emmett. He has been helping her to kind of fall in love, or have the prince fall in love with her. He is secretively giving her dance lessons and telling her little secrets and fun facts about the prince, how to flirt with him and things like that to get the prince to fall in love with her, because Emmett wants Ivy to be the winner. He has his own reasons for that. I won't spoil that. That's kind of a long-winded explanation. So, and I don't want to spoil it in case you plan to read this book, but Emmett does have his own agenda on why he wants Ivy to be the winner and become the prince's wife. The ending of this book was definitely my favorite part. I mean, the meat of the book was really good too. It was really fun to read, but the ending was definitely my favorite part of this story. Some of it was a little predictable as far as I guess unraveling characters' actual motives and who they actually are. There's a fun little unraveling that happens with Ivy's sister. There is character development and bombshells, if you will, with the Fae Queen's son, the prince that we are competing for his hand. So while some of it was a little predictable, it was still written in a way that was highly enjoyable, which I obviously definitely appreciated. It wasn't like you were reading something where you're like, ugh, I totally saw this coming. It was more like you were excited to see if like how you thought and what you felt the story was gonna go, if it was gonna go that way. And for me, it did go that way. And so it was like exciting to continue to read and see how the author, you know, built upon the story. I don't know, whenever something is predictable but written in an unpredictable kind of way, it just makes the whole thing exciting. You kind of feel proud of yourself. You know, so that was really fun. And because the writing style of this author was enjoyable for me, I never felt disappointed that I kind of guessed little things here and there. It was just an enjoyable ride. The second installment of this series comes out, I think, in April. I want to say it comes out this month. Maybe next month. I know it's coming. I know that it's coming relatively soon. So I am excited to pick up that second book. Perfect timing to read this first book with the second one coming out so soon. So I am excited about that. I will definitely be reading that second book and I will let you guys know all about it. The second book I read this month, I do not have the physical copy. I actually listened to it on Audible, and that is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. This is the second installment to the Blood and Ash series, and I am really loving it. I'm actually already listening to the third book right now. And I gave this book 4.25 stars. I did feel like this book was kind of repetitive from the first book, and I do find repetition happening still in the third book as well. I don't know if it's because originally these books were published far apart, like as far as like the years go. Since I'm listening to them, you know, pretty concurrently, I don't have, you know, a year or two in between both books. So I'm not sure if that's why we are kind of repeating ourselves with information quite a bit. I'm not sure what that's about. It's not to the point where I'm not enjoying the story. I just feel like each book kind of covers the same thing over and over again, but the story itself and our characters are just fabulous. If it wasn't for the constant repetition, I think I would have given this book 5 stars, but I am listening to this book, and again, very concurrently, like I'm just back to back listening to them. So I don't know if that is just like my brain hasn't had a break from the book, the characters, or the story, so I don't feel like I need a reminder of every little thing, but the author is definitely reminding you. So there is that little tidbit that I've noticed that I wouldn't say it bothers me, I just don't love it, you know? But in general, I do love these books. I'm loving the series. I do plan to continue. I think there's like 8 books in the Blood and Ash series, and like side stories as well. So if I continue to feel love for this series, I will certainly continue. I'll probably will continue with the series on Audible and listening to the dramatized versions of each book, and they are so much fun and they're really quick to get through. So if I continue, you guys will definitely hear about it. The next book I read this past month is Heir of Illusion by Madeline Taylor. I love this book. I gave this book a 4.7 stars. It was so close to a 5-star read for me, but it's not that anything was necessarily missing from this book, but the situation involving our female main character did remind me a lot of another book series that I recently read. Our female main character in that book also has a magical collar around her neck that suppresses her magic, and the female main character in this book had a very similar situation going on. It was a necklace, a ruby necklace of sort, and I think because of that parallel and the similar, I guess, personality type of the two female main characters, I kind of sometimes felt like I had already read this book. So while this book was great, it just reminded me a lot of the Kingdom of Feywood. And because of that, I don't know, it deterred me from giving it a full 5 stars. But aside from that, I did thoroughly enjoy this book. We follow Ivy. She navigates being a magical being controlled by a ruthless and powerful king who uses her to be his personal assassin. Ivy was taken by the king as a young girl and once thought she loved him, but as she's grown into womanhood, she's developed a deep sense of hate for him and the ways that he has used and manipulated her. There's definitely a grooming dynamic going on between the king and Ivy. It's not like super in your face, but it's definitely there. So if that's something that you're uncomfortable with, just be aware that the king and Ivy definitely have a grooming relationship between the two of them. Ivy was taken as a really young girl by this king who is like fey in some aspect, like he doesn't really age. And Ivy was taken, I think she was like 11 when she was taken. And by the time she became, I guess, 17, 18 years old, the king did start to develop a romantic relationship with her. And yeah. So there's that. So while being the king's personal assassin, Ivy has also, should I say, picked up some extracurricular assassin activities. And while she's out participating in these extracurricular assassin activities, she gains the notice of the legendary Reaper. They're not so much legendary in the sense that they are like epic and wide known. They are legendary in the sense that they are being a creature made of legend. People think that this creature is extinct, so they're really only talked about in like fables and things like that. But the Reaper Thorn is in Ivy's kingdom for one reason in particular, and he is searching for a sword. And with the king's birthday right around the corner, there are a lot of nobles and descendants of gods within the kingdom invited by the king to help celebrate his big day. And with the distraction of the celebration, Ivy is roped into helping Thorn locate this magical sword that is believed to be in like the catacombs underneath the king's estate. And through this search for the sword, the story kind of evolves from there between the relationship with Ivy and the king and Ivy with Thorn. We kind of see Ivy go through this metamorphosis of discovery of who she is with the help of Thorn. We see Ivy kind of owning the desire to become independent from the shackles that the king binds her to, both metaphorically and literally. We see her navigate betrayal, and we see her navigate the difficulties of love, and also kind of her vengeful feelings towards the king and how she navigates that, because she doesn't want to end her own life either by her hand or another's, but she also very much so wants to end the king's life. This is another book where the ending had me jaw dropped, and I did not see this one coming. I had no predictions through reading the final few chapters. I did not know where the ending was going to go. This was a page turner. Like, once we got to a certain point, I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, what's going to be revealed? There were so many revelations in the last few chapters that just had me absolutely hooked. There was a beautifully written epilogue at the very end of this book, and we did get the epilogue in Thorne's point of view, which I absolutely loved. I do hope that in book number 2 we get more sprinkles of Thorne's perspective. I would even take a book number 2 that is all in Thorne's perspective. That would just make my day, but I doubt that the author will do that because the story is about Ivy. But Thorne is a really, really interesting character. Ivy and Thorne had the perfect enemies to lovers back to enemies towards the end. I just love the way the author set that up. I love the way towards the ending the author made us think that we were entering a true enemies to lovers relationship between the two characters, and towards the end, especially with the epilogue, she just shatters that idea. That's why I say enemies to lovers back to enemies? Question mark? I don't know. The ending of this book definitely leaves you wondering, like, is Thorne just a huge con artist? Does he have feelings for Ivy? Is he falling in love with her, or is he gonna kill her? Like, how deep will the betrayal go with him? So there's just, the ending just left you super open-ended, super like, what the heck, which I really love. It builds anticipation for the next book, which I am definitely anticipating. So I don't know when the second book comes out in this series. This Heir of Illusion, it is a new release. I think it came out February of this year, so I'm sure I have some time to wait until book number 2. But I am definitely impatiently waiting because, wow, it was really good. Another book I read this month is The Deathless One by Emma Hamm. Yeah, by Emma Hamm. I don't know if I just hyped myself up for this book or what. I don't know what happened, but I did not really like this book, which really makes me sad. I thought the synopsis sounded really, really good. Like, I had convinced myself that I was going to love this book, and maybe that was my mistake. I put too much hope into this book. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but unfortunately this book just didn't do it for me. I did listen to it on Audible, even though I obviously own the physical copy. I listened to it on Audible anyways. I did end up giving this book 3 stars because it was by no means terrible. It just wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. It wasn't as good as what I was hoping for, I guess. I never like reached that, oh my God, this is so great, I love this book, I can't wait to continue reading or listening to this book. It was always just kind of like, this is okay, like, okay. There were definitely moments where I kind of felt bored. Like, I put this book on to listen to like while doing laundry and like things like that, and it was just it was a very mundane listen. I did have book number 2 on my anticipated releases for March, I'm pretty sure. I did put that on my anticipated releases before reading the first installment. And if I would have read this book before making the anticipated releases video, the second book would not have been on that video or on that list, because I am not anticipating the second book. I will not be continuing on with this series. I just don't care. But in this book, we follow Jessamine. She is a princess and is killed by her husband on their wedding day for studying black magic. There is a plague spreading through her kingdom, and Jessamine is desperate to find a cure for her people. So while she does not claim to be a witch or practice magic herself, she is open to all avenues of research to help find a cure for her kingdom. Upon her death, she falls into the realm of the Deathless One, and she strikes a deal. If he helps her obtain her revenge on those who plotted to kill her and get her kingdom back, she will summon him from the Deathless realm and give him his life back in the human world. So we basically just follow them discovering things about her kingdom, the plague, and her death. She elicits the help of another witch who worships the Deathless One. And between this witch and the Deathless One, they attempt to teach her magic, because I guess upon her death and with her connection to the Deathless One, she now can like siphon magic through the Deathless One. So in a way, she is now a witch. But within this, he does become obsessed with her and, you know, wants to be more than just a partnership of, I'm going to help you overtake your kingdom and you're going to help me, you know, be a corporeal entity in the human world. Even like reading my notes, it sounds like it should be a really good book. The premise is so right up my alley, but I don't know. I just, like, there was never a climax for me. We just kind of coasted through the entire thing, and in the end, I just felt like it was really boring. So that's really that for that book. The next book I read is The Unmarked Witch, and luckily this was a hit for me. I really enjoyed this book. We follow Raven, who is a powerful witch, but her skin bears no markings, and in her world, once a witch gets a new spell, the spell leaves a mark on her skin, kind of like a tattoo, and this lets everyone else know within your coven that you carry spells, that you're a force to be reckoned with. And because Raven does not carry any markings on her skin to represent the spells that she holds, her coven members definitely underestimate her, as well as members of other covens within her little witch world. In the beginning of the book, the leader of the Moon Coven, she is murdered. And for a coven to receive a new coven leader, they have to go through trials at the Dark King's palace. The Dark King is a being of both witch and shifter blood. And the witches and the shifters, they do not like each other. The king's parents married and had the king in an attempt to, I guess, bring peace among the two beings. It didn't work out well. They still hate each other. So participants for the trials are chosen, and Raven is, of course, chosen amongst the, I think it's like 6 or 7 people that are ultimately chosen to go to the palace to compete in these trials. Raven is chosen, and so they are all shipped off in carriages to the palace, and the bulk of the book is just that. We are following Raven and her fellow trial members. We follow Raven as she competes in these trials and gains the attention of the king. She needs to navigate the hatred of the other members of the trial because she's unmarked and people just don't like her for whatever reason. They think that they're better than her, or whatever the case may be, and it really pisses them off that she has gained the king's attention, and she's actually doing really well in the trials. She holds the leader position, or like she goes between first and second place quite often within the story, and no one likes that. So while at the palace for these trials, Raven is also trying to uncover the inner workings and secrets of not just her coven, but all of the covens that rule the witch society. And she's also trying to uncover the weird dynamic that is the king and his history and the secrets that are, you know, within the palace. Raven battles her personal relationships with the very few friends that she does have, just in general, but also with her in the trials, the unlikely relationship that she has formed with the king, and the pains that come with loss and betrayal. The first book, this book was really, really good. It had me hooked. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I liked it so much that I did start book number 2 on my Kindle. I'm slowly reading it because I do have other reading priorities that I have set for both April and May. But I do plan to carry my Kindle along with me, and any chance I get, I do want to continue on in this series. I thought that it was really, really great. The last book I read in March is Throne of Glass. This is a reread for me, so I'm not going to get super into the plot of this book. I think most of you watching have probably already read this book and or at least know what it's about. So I'm not going to get too heavily into it, but I did read this book this month, so I did want to mention it. I'm rereading all of Sarah J. Maas because I am preparing for the 2 new books that she has coming out in the ACOTAR series. One comes out in October of this year and the next one comes out January of 2027. I do have a reading guide that I saw, I think on Instagram, posted by, I want to say Twin Reading. I don't know. I will have her handle linked down below if you guys want to follow along with the reading guide. If you have already read Throne of Glass or any of the Sarah J. Maas books and you want to reread them as well in preparation for the new releases, go ahead and follow that reading guide if you choose. If you've never read Throne of Glass before, I definitely recommend it. It is a cult favorite, as they say. I think Throne of Glass is just a wonderful, wonderful series, as is ACOTAR. It will be my first time reading the Crescent City novels, so I'm really excited to get to those. So yes. Alrighty, you guys, well that does it for the books that I read in March. Let me know down in the comments which books you read in March. I'd love to hear what you guys are reading. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!